was a dark,
stormy night.
So Al,
so 10 years.
tell me what you remember about how this 10-year journey started.
Yeah. You know,
It's all kind of a blur.
it is, well, at times. I remember being presented the idea with the firm, you know, that we were at the time, and thinking, okay, there's a fork in the road I wasn't anticipating.
What idea?
The idea that hey, let's take this group, because we were an internal group at the time, doing design. We had security, we had AV, we had, you know, infrastructure and tech, and we had all the ingredients. And the idea of taking that group and spinning them off into their own entity.
Right.
And heart attack on my part, because I'm like, business owner, running business, you know, I find that in my DNA. And that's when, you know, the company leadership introduced us, because I'm like, I can take a company one place, and I need, you know, people to help with the leadership piece of that. So that's how Gale and I got introduced, and then as we started talking and kicking this idea around, you know, we quickly identified, you know, we needed somebody with some, you know, business development presence and how they could help take the sales. And I just so happen to know Drew from previous lives that we've crisscrossed and all that, and I'd worked with Drew before at his previous firm, and then we just kind of all got together, sat down, and we can safely say that yes, alcohol was involved.
Yeah, so the sit-down part was interesting. So you and I were up and running, and we needed another partner, and you knew him, and we said, okay, well, let's go do that.
Yeah.
So it's the classic cocktail napkin story. It sounds cliche, but it actually really happened that way.
It actually really did happen.
It actually really did happen that way.
I only regret we didn't keep the napkin.
Yeah, you know. It was at the
Still,
time.
it's yeah. I've thought 1,000 times. What did we do with the napkin? I think we just threw it away.
Yeah, just left it on the table.
Didn't really think of what significance that napkin might have 10 or 11 years later, because that was before we even spun out.
Yeah, you're right.
So that'd have been 2014, right?
Yeah.
2014, yeah. So
Yeah,
that was the
that
whole
was
vision
2014.
napkin around, well, here's what we're thinking we're going to try to do. Here's kind of the ideas we got in mind, that sort of thing, buying you into that whole program. So, yeah, it was fun.
And it just,
I wish we could look back now and see what we actually wrote on it. How close were we exactly?
that would be interesting. But then, you know, we get going, and, you know, the funny story with Briggs is he's well known throughout Dallas-Fort Worth in the industry. And I had always heard this name, Briggs Moon, you got to meet Briggs Moon. Meanwhile, on the other side, he'd be hearing my name, and, you know, and then the first time we got to meet, we're looking at each other going, he does exist. You are real. Okay.
Yeah, I had heard Al for a long, long time.
So one of you was Santa and one of you was the M&M? Is that
Pretty
right?
much.
That's right.
Pretty much. But, you know, I think it's uncommon, I think, to be able to gather individuals, you know, 4 people alone, but find values, chemistry, all kind of the ingredients you need for partnerships, and to be able to sustain it, you know, I think that says a lot. And that also tells you, in some ways, luck played a role, you know.
I mean, not even the Beatles could stay together.
Great case in point.
Wow. I thought about it that way. So 2014, I guess we all kind of met each other. 2015, we had duties to our partner firm that we were with before to wrap up so we could spin out, which happened 1/1/16. Right?
Yep.
So what do you remember about January of 16?
Well, you know, that's an interesting, yeah, I really don't remember much. I remember, because we were still all in the same building, because the firm had moved out, and we were staying on the same property at the time, and so it was kind of coming back to an empty building or an empty office space, and there's just a group of us, and like, okay, well, here we are.
Yeah, for a little bit. So we changed shirts on January 1st.
Yeah.
to put on a CRUX shirt for the first time. But, you know, those early days, we had one client doing one thing the same way, so.
That's true, and I would love to say that that shirt still fits today, but that is
Yeah, well,
some things you can't control with age.
that's a different conversation. So you and I, about the middle of, I don't know, we got shot out of a cannon because we were so busy when we started in 16. And
Well, we were set on fire then, Sean.
yeah, that's true.
So,
So then someplace in 16, you and I sat down and, you know, we can't be a business with just one client. We've got to get on with our diversification plan and our strategy and all that kind
Right.
of thing. Remember, you and I sat down and had several conversations, and we have got to move the needle on this. I know we're busy, but we've got to move the needle on this. So what do you remember about that?
well, when we originally talked about the concept of a CRUX, you know, the intention was always to diversify and have more than one client, right? But I think the reality of being overwhelmed with work when we were first launched, we sort of abandoned that goal in the immediate term, you know, in
Yeah.
the short term, because we were just trying to survive. And that trying to survive was nearly killed us.
Just about. There's a lot to figure out in that first year. So
There's a lot to figure out with people and processes. And I think our secondary thought was diversification and really growing our client base. But it became very obvious by about the middle of 2016 that this couldn't wait. We had to figure out operations while we were going out to market. But you know, that's how the whole Oklahoma story happened, right?
it did, yeah. So our original, if you guys remember, we said we can't, as a little bitty technology company, if we're going to specialize on tech, we can't just be a one hedgehog kind of thing. We have to more clients in K-12, K-12 beyond just Texas, something other than K-12 because our services are transportable, and so you guys had industry experience in other market verticals. So we had a plan, or we had a plan to get a plan maybe.
Right.
About 2016, we started to actually get a plan. That's what I would say, yeah.
Yeah, so the opportunity to move into Oklahoma, because we'd been talking about an office in Oklahoma City to give us some geographic diversification and also some vertical market diversification.
Yeah.
So we were thinking Oklahoma City, biggest city in Oklahoma, you know, it's 2.5 hours up the road. And then just out of nowhere, we get a call from an industry partner that says, oh, by the way, a consulting firm shutting their doors in Tulsa, not where we were looking. And by the way, these are some fantastic people. They're not going to last long. You need to go talk to them.
Yeah.
And that was on a Friday. And on Monday, we were in
It
Tulsa.
was a Friday afternoon because I was pulling into my parking space at the Ace Hardware store in Mansfield, Texas, USA. Renee in the car. I'm on the phone with you, and we're sitting there wrapping up this call, and it says, well, I guess we're going to Tulsa on Monday morning. So
I think that kind of underlines that power of relationships that we've managed to maintain and grow. If we didn't have the relationships with the industry, and good relationships built on trust and quality and those types of things, they would never call people like us and go, hey, we know two human beings, you guys should go change their lives. You know, that doesn't happen. And because of those relationships.
You know, that's an excellent point, because we were a very young company. So it wasn't really the CRUX reputation, it was the strength of the reputation of our people. Right.
Yep.
That,
Exactly.
I mean, I actually had somebody said, you guys got Briggs to come over there? Like, meaning Briggs doesn't, you're not going to blow smoke and mirrors on, you know, that's not going to work. Briggs is going to look for a real business and a real business plan. So the credibility we had as individuals in the market, I think, is what allowed us to be alive for 10 years, to build the credibility of the CRUX brand. You know, now our brand, I think, stands on its own, but it's the strength of the people that work here that make that work. Yeah. But you know, Oklahoma, we had some investors at the time that told us we were crazy for moving to Oklahoma.
yeah, they sure did.
And they're 35 or 40% of our revenue today, and we have just some of our strongest relationships with clients in that marketplace. It's been a fantastic market for us, and we have some fantastic people that we've been able to recruit that all live in Oklahoma. We didn't send anybody up there. We went and found native Oklahomans to run our business up there, and it's really been a happy story over our 10 years.
For sure. What's that old adage about luck is when opportunity meets preparation or something? I don't recall exactly, but
Yeah.
that was Oklahoma, because we were calling, you and I, Al, had made some just scouting trips to Oklahoma City, and this Tulsa thing came up. And said, well,
Following
there
up
you go.
on a relationship that I had with an integrator who started in Dallas-Fort Worth and had gone up to Oklahoma City. And
Right.
we called him, and
And starting with Leighton Wilson, we got him, just one of the premier picks of the litter in this entire industry at the time. Leighton was just class individual, and he turned us on to Jared. Yeah, it was serendipity, but it's what you said, Al. It's a great point you made, that she called us because she trusted us as people, not the
Right.
CRUX reputation. She just believed in us and thought we might be the real deal, and
100%.
great call. She was right. So the whole Oklahoma thing just opened up an entire opportunity set for our strategic plan. Got the market vertical diversification we were looking for, geographic diversification we were looking for. Where we are today in some of these markets, we got there because we got there through Oklahoma. We didn't win those original engagements in the Texas marketplace.
Right.
Interesting how that works.
and then this guy.
So Briggs had gone away, and then how long you been here? Back?
A little past 3 years.
We were at the start, and then we took a pause, and we went away from each other, and then we kept in touch and stayed friends. And when we started to grow, we were kind of flat for a good while while we were trying to diversify and whatnot. Our revenues were kind of flat, our headcount was kind of flat, but then some of this stuff started to work, and some of those seeds you plant after a while started to sprout, and it's like, oh my goodness, this thing, we're starting to get busy. So we needed an operations chief, and we went looking, but not as an employee this time. Your original gig with us was as an employee.
Right.
This time it's, no, why don't you come in as a partner on this deal? We want to change the rules here. So 3 years? Is that what you said?
Yeah, 3 years. A little more than 3 years.
Reflections.
So 5 total.
5, yeah.
2 on the front end.
Yeah, right. A little pause in the
It
middle.
all
a little
adds
bit.
up. It's okay.
So that 5 years of peace and sanity you had between CRUX stints,
Didn't involve like COVID or anything.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm glad you, because when you look back at the 10 years and you look at the challenges, and there were business challenges, and there was, internal lessons learned, and finding, some of the right people and that sort of thing. But then we get faced with things that weren't in our control. This little virus shows up, and suddenly planet Earth is just thrown upside down, and, economies just come to not even a slowing halt, come to a screeching halt, and you have everybody's trying to figure this out. What's the right thing to do?
Right.
Do I bring people in? And I think one of our strengths at the time was that we were already doing remote work. It wasn't a new thing for us.
Right.
So the ability to take our team and say, stay home, and let's just business as usual, and everybody just went with it. And there were a lot of companies that that's the year on the tombstone for their companies. And
The firm I was with at the time, huge international firm, but the employees weren't remote workers for the most part. And of course, being a technology group internal to that, we had always worked remote, kind of like we do here, because that's pretty much eating your own dog food. You have to be able to facilitate that for other people, so you better be able to do it yourselves.
Sure.
So we had always done that, but watching the rest of the firm that I was at struggle to adapt to that was hard.
A lot of our client firms went through the same thing. So I remember we were in a conference room, and half of the people in the meeting, it's a staff meeting, half of our people in the meeting were Brady bunched up on the screen, and somebody said, well, what are we going to do? And I said, well, kids, I think we're doing it right now. This is what we do. So
that's right. That's right.
we had the benefit of coming to the office, but come to the office if you want to. If you don't want to, work from home. But we were blessed to be critical, or whatever they called it back then, so we kept going. It was also interesting that we were small enough and clever enough to get through that 2020 situation. We got through it. A lot of firms didn't, and we got through it.
Yeah.
It was close.
It was. So we were getting to hit our stride, and then COVID hit, slapped us around for a year and a half or so, and then we were getting to hit our stride again. So yeah, it would have been interesting to see what would have happened without the COVID disruption in the middle, but that's okay.
Yeah.
We're still here 10 years later to talk about it.
That's right.
Yeah, that
with
right there.
With a
And-
pandemic in the middle. So.
and our folks stayed with it, you know.
Yeah, people didn't lose faith, even though we had to do some pretty dramatic things to get through COVID. I don't think a single person left during that time.
We got through with our team, yeah.
Yeah.
Very blessed to have that kind of team. But I think one of our abilities to kind of survive COVID, though, was we made a strategic decision when we spun out that we wanted to have a technology infrastructure that allowed our people to do their job from anywhere. And at the time, that was not common, especially in A&E services. So I think that really, I mean, the day after COVID wasn't any harder on us from an infrastructure perspective than the day before, right? I mean,
Right.
Our people had all the things they needed to do to be effective from home or wherever they happen to be.
It was kind of fun watching some of our clients go through the learning curve of how to be remote workers, and we just had to sit on our hands and wait for them to get the hang of it. They'll get the hang of it, but yeah, it was more interesting than I thought it was going to be. So
Yeah, definitely. But, you know, we're here. And I think it's going to be a very interesting story for the next 10.
yeah, so the next 10 ought to be fun, huh? So we still got the core group that was with us. Most everybody's still here. A couple of folks needed to change and go find other things to do, but we're still friends with everybody, so that worked out well. Most of our core group is still here. In fact, most of the people, the core that we started with all the way back at the beginning is still here. So
Yeah.
so that says something. That's a blessing, but it also speaks to maybe we got a few things right on how we treat people and how we handle our team and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that culture, when you look back at it and you look at the ups and the downs and the kind of the binding thing was that culture, and people were like, yeah, okay, yeah, it's a little rough now, but I kind of like it here, and you know, I'll see this out. And I think that's, without that culture, I don't know if we survive COVID.
Right. No, there's a lot about the
I don't
way.
think we would have survived even without COVID.
Right.
2018.
I mean, we talked today about, you know, according to the SBA, it's 66 or 67% of firms fail, don't make it 10 years, and it's an astounding number.
Yeah.
So if you start doing the homework, well, the 30 whatever percent that make it, what are they doing differently? Well, I know when you and I talked about this thing that's now called CRUX, you know, we were both very adamant about culture in creating. I think we said something funny like we wanted to create a home for abused consultants.
Bring us your tired and your
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny now, but at the time it really wasn't funny because there was this sort of sweatshop mentality in our industry that's not quite, I don't think it's quite as true today as it was 10 years ago. But 10 years ago, I mean, if you weren't billing 40, 50, 60 hours a week, you weren't going to stay employed. And man, to bill 50 hours a week, you were working 80.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that whole culture of we're going to use up our consultants until they just get mad and can't take it anymore and leave, that's a terrible way to run a business.
Well, the way we work,
So-
the ability to be completely hybrid is based on having trust in your employees that they're doing whatever they're going to do to get the job done from wherever and in whatever time frame is most appropriate. And I think there's a lot of that level of trust that ultimately you'll get back. And I think you got that back when things got hard in COVID. You had already showed look, we trust everybody. We're going to trust you to do your job. Well, they also trusted that you were going to take care of them, that you were going to do whatever sacrifices needed to be made to make sure that they were still there and that the company was still present. So I think you get a lot of that back, and that I think people kind of view the hybrid work environment as an opportunity for, things to go awry. And in reality, it's a real important form of employee trust, that if you really don't have to monitor your employees visually or be able to walk up to them all the time, and you've worked through that, most folks recognize that that's not just, you're not just entitled to it. It's really a pretty nice perk and a decent privilege, and it really is an extension of the company's trust.
Sure.
Well,
Let's go forth and be adults.
Exactly.
It's worked for us. I think the things I'll give us props for is when we sat down at the beginning and had the kind of core values discussion, right? It's like, yeah, okay, you're supposed to have core values because it says right here on the check sheet you're supposed to have core values.
You got to have something to put on the coffee
Yeah,
cup,
but some mission, vision, values, all that stuff. But we really took that seriously, the three of us at the time. This was pre-Briggs.
Yeah.
And we really did a good job of asking ourselves, who are we essentially? So all that table stake stuff, our values don't say honesty and integrity and all that. If you're not that stuff, I don't want to know you. You don't
People
wanna
will
know us.
figure it out pretty
Who
quick.
are we and what makes us us? And I think when we got that right, and then we applied those values to personnel decisions. Who do we wish to invite onto our team? And frankly, in the early days, we had a couple of value misalignments with people that we inherited when we started out that we had to make some adjustments for. And no, it's not a question of bad people, it's a question of bad fits. But we had a framework to go by, and it's really served us well, I got to tell you. I'm tickled with. So if you fast forward today, 10 years later, and look at the people we have, we kept the same template in place. We hire to the values.
Yes.
We get the right kind of people that we want to have on our bus.
And we've continued to measure it against those values with pretty much every decision we make when it comes to our personnel. I mean, it's right there, folks. There's 3 of them. That's it.
And our values it's an ongoing conversation, right? It's not a destination. It's exactly what we say they are. They're guiding principles. They guide us in our hiring and firing, and they guide us in our business decision making.
Right.
I mean, we've passed on things because it didn't align with our values.
Yeah.
That probably would have been fantastically profitable. I don't know. But we weren't going to go down that road because it didn't line up with those values, and we've opted not to hire people based on, hey, that person has a fantastic reputation and they probably could bring us new clients, but they weren't CRUX.
They weren't the right
values.
They didn't honor the same things we did, so there's someone else's fantastic employee, but they couldn't have been ours. So
Agreed.
I think we got that right, and we've stayed to it. So if you look at today, the team we have, I mean, this is fantastic. The group of folks we have on our program today, on our team today, fantastic. Up and down the line.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, and it has served us when we look. We all know that in today's market, finding experienced professionals and all that has its own sense of challenges. But investing in that future, the next leaders, they're not on the couch. They're out there.
Yeah, but that leadership clay may be out there. So we started as a kind of a close. Today, if you fast forward the tape, we've got 20-somethings and 30-somethings and 40-somethings and 50-somethings and a couple of token old people, and it's quite something to see. I mean, we've had to deal with our own set of generational, hey, how does a boomer talk to whatever a 20-something is, an alpha or whatever that is?
Yeah,
But it's been a lot of fun. I think just learning how people can relate to people.
Well, I think it's really neat too, because I think the future of our company already works here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to think so.
Yeah, I do too.
I don't think we're going to go recruit for our next CEO to be some, private equity guy that gets forced on us. So, no, we want to grow our own, and some of those leaders are already emerging. And as you're stepping into the next phase of your life, it's giving us the opportunity to, promote some other folks within our organization and to kind of see everybody rise to the occasion as we're shuffling responsibilities around. Our leadership team is staying stable, but it's creating more opportunities for for the folks who are younger in their careers. to
It is
really-
interesting. All through the 10 years, have we created space for younger people to expand and grow?
Yeah.
How they've done it. They just stepped up and gone and done it. And it's fantastic. I love that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah.
And I did notice when you made the comment about the token old people that you were kind of speaking about that side of the couch. I don't know if you saw that, but I certainly picked up on it.
you whippersnappers.
Why?
No, it's fantastic. So,
Well, definitely.
yeah, I feel good about our team. Feel good about where we're headed. Feel good about starting the next 10. Let's go do 10 more. What do you
Yeah,
think?
here's to another 10. Absolutely.
Now, I didn't look at the numbers to see how many people make it 20 years. I didn't look for that.
I ain't worried about it.
Yeah.
I like to think that's in our hands and in the hands of the folks out there, and I think we'll be good.
Well, the other thing I think, culture or values, our operating system. I think Gale, you brought us the EOS system. That's been really, I think, critical in our success as well, because we had a template that's kept us consistent. I don't know how many leadership teams you see that stay this consistent over 10 years. It's probably pretty rare, but I feel like we're more in sync and make better decisions today than we did 10 years ago. We've never, I think in a lot of, business relationships, you can drift, and there can be a lot of wedges between those leaders, and I've never once felt that way with this team.
That's a good point you made, because that traction in the EOS brought us that structure, because it came at a good time, because we were kind of trying to find the rhythm and tempo, and Gale brought that. We're like, hey, look, let's give this a shot, and still in use today. We've modified it to fit our needs, but for the most part,
Well, I
it's still there.
think Gale said it just the other day too. What I think the beauty or the magic in it, really, if there is any, is it forces you to deal with your issues.
Yeah.
And if there's any one thing that seems to be the silver bullet out of all of that, it's identify your issues and deal with them.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be here
Right.
after 10 years if we hadn't, have a systematic approach to identifying our issues and then addressing them. EOS doesn't solve your problems, but it forces you to identify what those problems are and to put a solution in place.
It gives you that platform to go, all right, here it is, take care of it. So
Do your job. Yep.
I like it.
Well, the other blessing was to find never heard of any of you guys before in my life, to be blessed with four of us together that just works. The team just kind of works. We've got complementary skills in some ways and opposing skills in other ways, and it just kind of works. I know I would not have done this without you guys.
But that really is interesting when you look at the diversity of our personalities and our skill sets. Like, I don't think you could have purposefully picked 4 different skill sets that actually all blend together as well as these do. There's not a lot of overlap between us.
He and I do have Legos, so there is overlap. Yeah. It's a thing.
It's a thing.
Your
It's
jokes
a thing.
your jokes have not improved in 10 years.
Well, some other things have remained constant. Bad humor, and the humor gets you through it. So, well, here's to another 10.
Well, it's been a blessing to work with you guys, and let's keep this party going.
By all means.
I enjoy our clients. I enjoy what we do. I
Absolutely.
haven't had this much fun. I got to tell you, I'm at a point in my career where I don't have to keep doing this. I want to keep doing this. I haven't had this much fun in a long time, and let's keep the party going. What do you think?
Is this where we huddle up and headbutt?
That's right. All hands in.